Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here for a great announcement on our ongoing progress to meet the housing crisis and also to mark the release of our 2025 Housing Progress Report. In addition to the speakers that we'll hear from today, I also want to acknowledge and welcome City Councilwoman and Finance Chairwoman Joanne Ryan. Councilwoman, thank you for being here. There's many members of the city's team here today, but I especially want to notice Director of Housing and Human Services, Emily Friedman, who does incredible work on behalf of the city on a daily basis. Joe Mulligan, the city's planning director, Ted Carr, our economic development director, Nick Ciccatelli, the head of the redevelopment agency. In Providence, it is all hands on deck with respect to housing, and so all of these professionals on a daily basis are trying to help us meet this moment. So we are here today to restate our commitment to and talk about meaningful progress that we are making on the greatest challenge that this city is facing, which is the housing challenge. The shortage of affordable housing, housing at every price point, is pressuring families across our city. We know that the cost of living has climbed faster than wages, and that pressure exists in every neighborhood. Working families trying to stay in their homes, young people looking for an affordable apartment or the dream of home ownership, employers who are struggling to hire workers because they can't find homes nearby. All of these challenges underlie and put pressure on our urgency to meet the moment with respect to housing. And that is why we have taken an all-of-the-above approach with respect to housing. According to the 2025 Housing Progress Report, Providence has outpaced Boston and New York. On a per capita basis, the city of Providence is permitting more housing than our neighbors to the north and south, and that is something we should be extraordinarily proud of. And we'll hear from the housing secretary in a moment, but the city of Providence has also made great progress towards the state's housing targets and are confident that we will be the first community in Rhode Island to meet the 2030 housing targets. In fiscal year 2025, the year that ended June 30th, we permitted 857 new residential units and completed 453 of them, 22% of which are permanently subsidized affordable housing units, double the state target. Included in this total are permanent supporting housing units for residents with complex needs. Just a week or two ago, we were opening yet another exciting facility sponsored through Crossroads to help those who are transitioning from homelessness. We've committed $55 million through the Providence Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which is the largest investment in affordable housing in our city's history. This funding supports more than 2,000 homes, 1,600 of which are deed-restricted affordable. And this funding of $55 million has leveraged $700 million of additional private funding. When we talk about housing investments, of course, the most important part is about providing affordable homes to our residents, but it is also an economic impact multiplier. Tradesmen and women, skilled trades, all kinds of wraparound services, $700 million in our local economy because of a $55 million investment from our Affordable Housing Trust Fund. We've reformed outdated tax structures to encourage residential and multifamily development. We've modernized permitting, expand density, allowed accessory dwelling units by right, advanced zoning changes to make it easier to build. In the city of Providence, as I mentioned, we are doing all of the above. If you track housing strategies around the country, we've done them all. Every single recommended strategy is either underway, being considered, or in the works as we speak. And these policy changes are not abstract. We're seeing them. Providence is building faster, smarter, and stronger. And today we are taking another important step. The Providence Redevelopment Authority is acquiring the lot that we are standing in right now, 322 Washington Street, for $1.7 million. This will make way for 76 new affordable rental homes in the heart of our city. 68 units will be for families earning between 60 and 80% of AMI, area median income, and 8 units will be for very low income residents earning below 30% of AMI. Our development partner, Lincoln Avenue Communities, who we'll hear from in a minute, is a national affordable housing firm with projects in 28 states, and we are excited to welcome them to Providence. The Providence Housing Trust Fund was instrumental in attracting this firm to our city and showing how local investments can bring national partners to the table. I know many of our neighbors are worried about rising rents, and I share their concerns. The housing crisis is real, and we are acting with urgency. Now, some have proposed rent control as a solution, and I understand why, because of the pressure that so many tenants are feeling. But the reality is that evidence from around the country shows that rental caps make the problem worse and not better. In St. Paul, Minnesota, after rent control was enacted, new housing permits fell by 80%, while rents still went up. The policy has had to be rewritten multiple times because it has discouraged construction and investment. Next door in Minneapolis, those which chose to expand housing supply through zoning reforms, we saw slower rent growth and reduced homelessness. The lesson is clear. When cities make it harder to build housing, everyone ends up paying more. Providence is already short on supply, and we cannot afford to shrink it further. That's why our approach focuses on building more homes at every price point in every neighborhood, while also protecting renters through eviction defense, rental assistance, and direct support. This year alone, we assisted more than 1,500 residents with legal and financial help to stay in their homes. The path forward is to expand supply, preserve affordability, and protect residents, not to cap rents in a way that undermines growth and will ultimately increase rents. Our progress at 322 Washington Street is a perfect example of the right way to address the housing crisis. We're growing our land bank, accelerating development, and partnering with experts to deliver on affordable homes that Providence needs. The housing crisis is years in the making, and it won't be solved overnight. I was speaking with the mayor in another city that had passed rent control. And what he said to me, he said, if the problem is complex, be wary of simple solutions. And I think that is the right advice. We are staying focused on delivering results for our neighbors. We are turning vacant land into places people can call home. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you read our housing report and see both the work that we've done and a clear outline on where we're going. It is my pleasure to introduce the next speaker on behalf of the Speaker of this General Assembly, Representative Tina Spears, member of the House Municipal Government and Housing Committee, and a leader on housing in her own right. Representative Spears, welcome to the podium.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you all for being here. I am pinch hitting for the Speaker of the House, and no, I will not be the next Speaker of the House. I am representing District 36, which is in the South County area. And as you all know, the housing crisis is not here in this city alone, but it goes across the state of Rhode Island. So I have some prepared remarks from the Speaker, and I just want to share them with you and share our support for this work. When we talk about the housing crisis, it's important to understand what it means for families looking to settle down roots in Rhode Island. Less than 2 weeks ago, Housing Works Rhode Island released the 2025 House Fact Book, which shows that families would need to make almost $130,000 a year to live comfortably and afford to buy a home here. Which means the average household cannot comfortably buy a home in Rhode Island. That translates to a crisis that we need to respond to. Similarly, the median income renters cannot comfortably afford to rent an average 2-bedroom apartment in any of the 39 cities and towns in Rhode Island. In some towns, including two that I represent, there aren't even enough rentals for the people who are looking. So this is a statewide crisis. While the crisis might look a little different in Charlestown than in Providence, throughout the state, we will all have the same problem. Not enough homes for families in Rhode Island. And while the General Assembly, and under Joseph Shekarchi's leadership, we have passed 60 new housing laws aimed at making housing more affordable. It is at the municipal level that we're going to solve this crisis by building homes Rhode Islanders need. Which is why I'm so happy to be here and support Mayor Smiley and the City of Providence, who are committed to partnering to solve this crisis. They have permitted 857 new housing units, as the mayor just recently spoke about, and there's no signs of slowing down, thankfully. What I especially want to congratulate the city and the mayor on is that Providence is taking a broad and diverse approach to increasing housing availability. There's new construction, yes, but as the project behind me shows, which I don't know that there's a project, but that there are empty buildings, unused commercial spaces, and city-owned properties that can be refurbished. Each of our 39 cities and towns is unique, and each will have to find its own solution to the crisis. It will all look different, but it's all necessary. Determination to provide housing for its residents and creative and adaptive approaches that the City of Providence is taking are worth modeling in all of our hometowns. Speaking on behalf of the General Assembly and the Speaker of the House, we want to thank you for your work, the City of Providence and the Mayor, and for all those committed to making affordable housing for Rhode Islanders here. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Spears. She referenced the dozens of housing bills passed at the General Assembly under Speaker Shekarchi's leadership and with strong support from his caucus. I'd like to remind folks that Providence was the first community to take every one of those bills and enshrine them in local ordinance or local policy, and we were proud to go first. Another area in which we have tried to lead is with our partnership with the Executive Office of Housing. Under her leadership, Secretary Deb Goddard wrote the state's first statewide housing plan, Housing 2030, and Providence was proud to be a partner in that and is working hard to meet all of the goals outlined therein. I'd like to welcome Secretary Deborah Goddard.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here as a guest. Thank you, and thank you for having me here as a guest to celebrate the leadership of Providence in housing and witness firsthand the momentum that Providence continues to build in housing. The city has a long history of stepping up, taking action, and moving the needle on one of Rhode Island's most pressing problems, affordable housing. The acquisition of 322 Washington Street is a perfect example of that approach in action. The acquisition and redevelopment of this property into affordable housing is a tangible, real-time example of Providence turning vision into results, demonstrating the city's ongoing commitment to its residents and the state's Housing 2030 goals. Providence, all of you here, your approach to housing, produce, preserve, and protect, is exactly what we need in every community across this state. Produce housing across the income spectrum so that we can address rising rents and home costs, allowing everyone access to a safe, stable, and affordable home. Preserve what we already have. Preservation is production's twin. We can't afford to lose the affordable housing we have, or else we take a step back every time we try and take a step forward. And protect Rhode Islanders by investing in housing stability. When we make thoughtful investments in services, homeless prevention, and infrastructure, we invest in people. These priorities are clear, necessary, and impactful. And thank you, Providence, for leading the way. Since becoming secretary, I've seen firsthand how resilient this city is under Mayor Smiley's leadership. The mayor and his team continue to push forward and do what needs to be done, even when the challenges are big. That determination and the city's track record of progress, and I will again mention 857 new housing units in 1 year because that deserves continuous applause, gives me real optimism that Providence will live up to the mayor's bold goal and bragging rights to be the first city in Rhode Island to meet the Housing 2030 municipal production goals. Being here today is a reminder that progress is about the steady, determined effort a municipality makes every single day. The work that will happen here at 322 Washington Street is proof that Providence's approach is thoughtful and goal-oriented. And when these new affordable homes are built, it will also be proof that Providence's approach is working. Mayor, thank you for your leadership, your vision, and your unwavering commitment to making housing accessible for every Rhode Islander. I'm proud that the Executive Office of Housing is a partner in this journey, and equally proud of the City of Providence as a partner of ours. And to Lincoln Avenue communities, welcome to Rhode Island, and thank you for being a partner. Your mission to build stronger communities, affordable, accessible housing aligns perfectly with what we are trying to do in the state. I look forward to being back here numerous occasions and continue the applause and deserved congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Goddard. Next, we'd like to tell you a little bit about what's going to happen right here at 322 Washington Street. Joining us today from Lincoln Avenue Communities is the Vice President and Regional Project Partner, Scott Shaw. Scott?
Thank you, Mayor. On behalf of Lincoln Avenue Community, I want to express our appreciation to the City of Providence and to the Providence Redevelopment Agency for their partnership and commitment to this important project. And in particular, I want to echo the Mayor's thanks to Nick, Emily, and Brandon for your hard work and dedication to get this done. The acquisition of 322 Washington Street represents more than just a property transfer. It's a key step towards creating more affordable, workforce, high-quality housing in the heart of Providence. The city's role in land banking and funding the acquisition has been instrumental in closing a critical financing gap. That support allows us to move forward much quickly towards finalizing financing, construction, and ultimately delivering homes that will serve the Providence community. This collaboration is a powerful example of how public investment can unlock private development capacity. Together, we're advancing a shared vision of inclusive growth, equitable development, and opportunity for all residents of Providence. Thank you again for your continued partnership and trust in this effort.
Thank you, Scott. And then finally, we'd like to hear from Brenda Clement. Brenda is the Executive Director of Housing Works Rhode Island, who creates the Bible that we all read every time, the Housing Fact Book, which tracks our progress but also gives us clear direction on where to go next. Brenda's been a leader in the housing space in Rhode Island for many years. Proud to call her a friend and a partner in this work. Brenda?
Thank you. I'm very glad to be here today at a time where we're talking about building, right, and looking at areas to build. Thanks to Rep. Spears for the shout out for the annual Housing Fact Book. As you said, we were a couple of weeks ago. Many of you had joined us at that event. And as the Fact Book points out, the challenges are still there. We've done and made progress. Providence certainly the case. But we need to do more, and we need to work harder, particularly to address the needs of those lower income workers and Rhode Islanders throughout the state as well too. So the funding for housing, as I say all the time, comes largely from the federal level in Rhode Island and some from the state, and the secretaries in Rhode Island Housing have announced the latest round of the state housing bond fund. So yay, glad those are getting out the door. But what you build, where you build, and how you build are all controlled at the local level. And so partnering with communities like Providence, like all of the other 38 cities and towns, is going to be a critical part of getting to the solution. I used to direct a cherub choir at our church, all these cute little 3- and 4-year-olds. And one of the lines from the song, one of my favorite songs, was, "A little is a lot when it's in the right spot." Now, 70 plus units is a little bit more than a little, but these are the types of projects that we need to be doing all across the state. Looking for places that are underutilized, repurposing parking spots, repurposing vacant commercial space, retail space, churches, schools, wherever we can find that place, because those units mean a lot to somebody. And when 1 out of 3 Rhode Islanders are cost burdened, that means either you are the one who needs some affordable housing, or somebody within your network, somebody within your family, somebody within your community is having a difficult time. So I encourage the mayor, and I also, he's put it down the gauntlet to other communities. I urge him to continue to challenge the other 38 cities and towns to step up like Providence is and do more for their residents. Thank you for the opportunity to talk today.
Thank you, Brenda. That concludes the formal speaking program. I'd be happy to take questions. At this
Mr.
time.
Mayor, in
Steve.
what ways are the report that you're putting out today complementary, and in what ways is it oppositional to the report put out by the City Council a few months back?
There are many areas where the City Council and my administration are working hand in glove to meet the housing crisis of today. And we're happy to do so. All of the zoning reforms, all of the major structural policy changes we've made to date has been in concert. Our Department of Housing has pledged and endeavored with this report to start an annual report whereby we will track our progress and outline key priorities for the year to come. And we're going to keep holding ourselves accountable to the community, and that's what this report is about. It's not a reaction to or a reflection to any other report, other than to say that this is a way for us to say, here's what we've done in the last year, here's where we're going in the next year, so that we can hold ourselves and the community can hold us accountable to our progress.
Thank you.
Secretary got a question. Secretary Goddard, House Minority Leader Mike Chippendale recently issued a study which showed some concerning discrepancies between New England states in terms of the cost of house personnel and administrative costs. He pointed out that on a 10,000 population basis, Rhode Island's housing, administrative, and personnel costs were in excess of $400,000, where Massachusetts was just over $100,000. Can you explain these wild discrepancies in your department and state's cost structure in building housing?
I have not focused on that aspect of Chippendale's report, and I will be happy to look into it. But my first reaction is that that report contains a broad takes a broad approach to facts that are much more discrete, comes to some sweeping conclusions that I think deserve to be examined. To the extent those conclusions are accurate, then they deserve a hard look.
Well, on one hand, you're pointing out that they're based on not using this term wild, they're based on broad assertions, yet at the same time, you're pointing out that you haven't really studied it. So that's a concerning discrepancy. It points to the inability of the state of Rhode Island, potentially, to not provide housing at affordable cost. On top of that, there's just too much fat and largesse based in your budget and other state budgets.
Well, first of all, my department is not even 38 people. So there's absolutely no fat in our budget. I think, meanwhile, also the cost of supporting my office, the cost of Rhode Island housing pays for itself. So just take that out of the equation right away. So no, and my costs aren't passed on to the housing costs. They are no way reflected in the housing unit. So complete disconnect in that assertion.
Would you say that the state was adequately responsive in preparation of this report? Because there are many claims that basically your department and other departments don't work.
This report came out without any request for participation from my office.
Okay.
Alex.
The report also talks about homelessness and supporting homelessness services amid federal cuts. Can you talk a little bit more about that? And maybe Secretary Goddard, if there's anything you wanted to add to that.
Yeah, so Providence continues to contribute, honestly, more than its fair share to the housing crisis for those who are unhoused or housing insecure. And by the way, we're proud to do so. These are our neighbors. These are our residents that deserve to be supported. However, we know Providence can't go alone. The risk of cuts to federal funding is only going to make this very severe challenge more acute. We're working closely with the state on their emergency sheltering plan for the winter. We know extreme weather in winter is always a challenge, but we're also focused on both all of the rungs of the ladder to help transition someone out of homelessness, from emergency shelter to long-term shelter to transitional housing to supportive transitional housing like we announced with Crossroads Ribbon Cut a couple weeks ago. On the other side, on just the meeting the basic needs of our residents and of our community, we work closely and allocate funds for a partnership for social service providers to meet with those who are unhoused, so separate from the question of shelter itself, to make sure things like medical care, basic needs are being met. If there's a way to meet their other needs, Providence steps into that void to try to provide care for those who are either so insecure in their housing that they're actually on the streets or moving between housing situations. Finally, we know that being unhoused and housing insecurity is wrapped up in a complex set of challenges that can involve healthcare or other health issues, food insecurity, and others. And so in the midst of the chaos coming out of Washington, each and any one of these things is a contributing factor. If SNAP benefits actually get derailed later this week, that's going to find its way into the housing crisis. If we have a collapse of our healthcare system because the cost of insurance triples or quadruples, or if Medicare rates get cut, then we're going to have more unhoused neighbors. And so all of these things need to work together. We need to be doing better on all of the above. Providence continues to put millions of dollars into it, and as I said, we will continue to do so because it's the right thing to do. But this is a statewide problem that requires statewide solutions, of which I am confident that Secretary Goddard is very focused on this, but other communities need to step up as well.
Could you talk about why?
Alex, follow up and then Nish.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up sample because you mentioned it.
Yeah.
If those benefits are not available, where can people go to get assistance?
So in Providence, if SNAP benefits are suspended or otherwise interrupted, we're working through our emergency management agency to activate our emergency food plan, which involves surging resources to our food banks. We're under no illusion that going to a food bank is the same as having your EBT card filled and being able to shop for the food that's right and best for your family. But Providence does have a plan, and we are prepared to surge additional resources to our local food banks, which in the midst of an emergency is the best solution that we have, that we can execute on and implement in the week to come.
And how long is that sustainable?
There's no surplus funds in the city budget. We run a tight, balanced budget every year, and so it will involve finding resources from other programs, areas of the budget that are underspent, or otherwise diverting resources from other programs. And so there's no easy answer to the question of how long can we sustain that, because it will come at the cost of something else. And regrettably, what we're going to have to do is what everyone's going to have to do, which is why Congress and the President should get back to work to pass the budget, is we're going to have to decide where is the harm the greatest, where is the need the greatest, and make really difficult decisions like that we shouldn't have to make. And we wouldn't have to make if the President and Congress would just pass the budget. Nish.
So back to housing. How was this site selected, and what's the timeline on the project?
So 322 Washington has been proposed for some time. Because of the complexity and difficulty in lining up the various layers of capital and subsidy that any affordable housing development needed, there was some risk that this site would no longer be available for acquisition. And so the folks at Lincoln Avenue Communities found 322 Washington. They've been in regular contact with us now for well over a year. And so we stepped forward with the city through the redevelopment authority to secure the site so that we didn't lose it as a development parcel for exactly this kind of use. The developer, and I can invite them back up again, is still working on finalizing their financing, but hopes to break ground or complete the preliminary pre-development work, I think this year. and then we'll start working. But there's a lot of conversation in the community around different strategies for how we could work, and there's discussion around things like a public developer and other things. This is a way in which the public, the way in which government can fill a gap in a non-traditional way. This isn't just a subsidy into the program. This is actually securing a site that we think is entirely appropriate for housing. It's proximate to major transit lines. It's eliminating a use that we're trying to get rid of, which is surface parking lots. It's in a resource and service-rich area, close walk to Kennedy Plaza, a block to major bus route on Broad Street, and we think is the perfect sort of example for how we would step in with the public dollar to buy the property, to then use that as our contribution to the program, to not lose the opportunity we stepped forward today. And now you should have no doubt that we'll be putting as much pressure on Scott and his team as possible to get started, because we want to be back here again soon for a groundbreaking. Please.
We do hear a lot about affordable homes and affordable housing going on. Congratulations, because this is a huge step and definitely needed. But what about those who want to build the American dream, buy single-family homes? Are they being built at the same pace, or is it not really the city's need?
As I mentioned earlier, we want to make progress on both. We want to make sure that home ownership is also an opportunity for residents in Providence or people aspiring to be in Providence. It is a little bit of a different challenge. There are some innovative strategies with some of our community development corporations that have looked at deed-restricted affordable housing purchasing options, and there's some examples of those in Providence. Some folks might remember we were at a press conference with the housing secretary not too long ago in Olneyville at one of those projects where there's a deed restriction on the property. You can buy it for a discount to the fair market value. You're able to benefit from some of the upside when you sell it, but you also sell it for less than fair market value so that it remains restricted, affordable for the dream of home ownership. We'll work closely with CDCs to find other opportunities like that. But in a dense urban environment like Providence, there's simply fewer opportunities for large-scale single-family home developments or townhomes and such. And so we're certainly seeing more activity on the rental space, but that doesn't mean that home ownership isn't a priority for us. Thank you all. Please grab a copy of the report on your way out. Thank you very much.